In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use the AND operator with the if syntax or the if function. So the first thing we need to open is going to open a workbook called AND-OR workbook. Okay, so we're going to open the first worksheet called simple, and what we're going to do over here for any one of our students, for them to pass, they must on each exam that they do, exam 1, exam 2 and exam 3, they must pass 55% for them to be given a pass rating. Okay, so we can put our simple if and AND operator function like this is equals if, okay, open brackets, and open brackets, then you state if B2 is greater or equal to 0.55, which is 55%, comma, C2 is greater or equal to 0.55, comma, D2 is greater or equal to 0.55, close the statement. This is going to be the true statement, open quotation marks. We're going to give the student a pass, close quotation, comma, but if the student hasn't satisfied either of the criteria, we're going to put this statement fail in parentheses, then you close it, then you press the enter key. So if you want to duplicate the formula across the various students, you simply use the autofill function and we get the result. Okay, so this we're going to use now sheet 2 called graded, and this is how we are going to do. Okay, so for any one of our students, for them to pass, they must pass, for them to pass, to be given any criteria of passing an exam. If they get 55%, greater or equal to 55%, they get a grading of pass. If they get a grading of 85% equal to or greater, they get a merit. If they get a percentage of greater or equal to 90%, they get a distinction. Okay, so in all of these three exams, so they must meet the if condition in either of each of the exams for them to be given a grading. Okay, so we're checking if an individual is meeting the criteria over here in exam 1, they'll get a pass if it's greater or equal to 55. If exam 2 they get it's greater or equal to 85%, they're going to get a merit. If it's in exam 3, if they get equal to or greater than 90%, they're going to get a distinction. Okay, so it's checking amongst all these grading: pass, merit, distinction and fail, which is not listed over here. So the simple formula is going to be is equals, okay, so I'm going to use the formula bar so that you can clearly see the formula that I'm typing, and I'm going to expand this formula bar so that you can clearly see the formula that I'm typing. So the first condition is if, open brackets, and open brackets, B2 is greater or equal to H1, comma, C2 is greater or equal to H1, comma, B2 is greater or equal to H1, close the argument, put a comma mark, then we go to the second criteria. If, open the argument, and if, open the argument, and open the brackets, B2 is greater or equal to H2, which is covered by this formula here, which is a merit, comma, C2 is greater or equal to H2, comma, D2 is greater or equal to H2. You close that argument, put a comma, and the last condition is if open the brackets and open the argument, if B2 is greater or equal to H3, comma, C2 is greater or equal to H3, comma, D2 is greater or equal to H3, close the argument, and if all the criteria are met, comma, they're going to be given G3, which is a distinction, comma, or they're going to be given either or, they're going to be given G2 for merit, comma, or they're going to be given G1 for pass, or if they do not meet either of the criteria, they're going to be given the statement fail. Close quotation marks, then close the argument, then press the enter key. Okay. Okay, so it said that I've added too many arguments. So let's see what is the error. If, let's put this one in small letters. If and B2 is greater than H1, C2 is greater than H1, B2 is greater than H1, if and B2 H2, C2 greater than H2, D2 is greater than H2, and if B2 greater than H3, C2 is greater than H3, D2 is greater than H3, close the argument, G3, G2, G1, fail. Okay, so I've seen where the error is. I needed to put a closing bracket after G1 to close that argument. Then the function, the AND operator with if syntax formula should be correct. Okay, so what I need to do again, okay, so after correcting that error, what I needed to put is absolutes, because the pass, merit and distinctions are not moving, so I need to put here an absolute. Press the keyboard shortcut F4, 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 keyboard shortcut 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 F4, and the distinction is also absolute, the merit is also absolute, and also the pass is absolute, so they needed to be put. Then I press the enter key. So I found the error where it was occurring. It was supposed to be after G1. I'm supposed to put a closing one, and after G2 I'm also supposed to put a closing parenthesis. Then you press the enter key, and that is how you create the this kind of AND operator with the if syntax function. I'm sorry about the video was a little bit confusing. I had made a little bit of error, but this is the formula of how to get these values to be propagated. If you want the rest of the formula to be replicated, you need to drop down using the autofill function, and the formula is going to be replicated downwards. And that is how you use the AND operator, the if syntax, in your AND or workbook. I'll see you in the next lesson.